We are live. We are Legal Help Live. It is Wednesday. It's 4 o'clock. My name is Ralph Saltzman. My partner is Steve Solomon. We're here to answer your legal questions. You're there to watch, maybe to call, to ask a legal question. And if you want to do that, here's how. Toll free, 1-800-405-4222. Call that number. Come on in, talk to us, ask a legal question. Hey, Stephen, what's going on?
What's going on, Ralph? We had it's a real change in the Senate with the third Kennedy who had been in great public service dying, and
fourth brother. Don't forget Joseph.
That's
Jr.
right. He died
World War
for the
II.
service of our country too. But a real social liberal, and spoke up for the rights of the working person, etc. Well, this is a legal call-in show, and we've got some calls, so we'll tell you in more detail about what's going on a little later. Let's go to Rachel on line 10.
Line 10. Rachel, come on and talk to us.
Hi.
Hey, Rachel, how are you?
Not very good.
What's going on?
Sound like you've been run over by an ice cream truck.
I wish. So I was eating at a fast food place, and I'm not going to say what, but I took a bite out of a chicken leg, basically, and there was a piece of barbed wire in it, and
Wire?
I bit down on it. It's, you know how like there's the wire, just to give you an idea of what went in my mouth. There's the wire, and then the little looped wire, which is the barbed part of it. And I basically lost a tooth.
Oh, my.
And I have a serious infection it's definitely because of the incident.
Did you keep the piece of metal after this happened?
Yeah, I took it to the hospital with me.
Oh.
Did you go right from the restaurant to the hospital?
Yeah, because my mouth was bleeding.
Okay, well, that's a horrible situation. The first thing I would suggest you do is get the infection under control. The second thing I would suggest you do is get in to see who's ever going to do the implants in your mouth, or whatever kind of dental or orthopedic work you need. But you do have a lawsuit. You're not supposed to go into any kind of a restaurant, whether it's one of Ralph Saltzman's snooty restaurants or one of the hometown kind of places that I go to. You're not supposed to go into and bite into food and end up with a fence post in your mouth that's got barbed wire on it. So those things don't happen unless someone was careless. It happened in the restaurant. They're going to be liable. To me, it looks just like what the extent of your damages are. You're entitled to get compensated for your emotional distress. That's the pain and suffering you went through now. Any medical expenses, any future medical expenses, any lost work, etc., etc. Don't lose the peace. Are you back to work? Were you working?
I was working. I'm on pain medication though, so I can't work because it. Okay, well, I think I could, but it makes me loopy, you know.
Yeah, it's tough to be an airplane pilot on pain medication. And you're also entitled to be compensated for your lost wages, etc. Assuming this was not in a governmental restaurant, but just a regular old employer, you generally have 2 years to file a lawsuit in this case. But what I do, it seemed to me, is go find yourself a personal injury type lawyer in your neighborhood, or through a friend or a family that you know that does a decent job, and let them write a letter on your behalf and see where things go. You may end up in a lawsuit. You know, it depends on where your damages are. But this is not something that I would not take some action on.
Rachel, were you with anyone when this happened?
Yeah, I was with a friend.
Close friend?
Yeah.
Was the close friend shocked and appalled and distraught over what happened to you?
Yeah, I was screaming.
Bring your close friend to the lawyer when you find a lawyer, because your close friend may also have a lawsuit.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Possible. It's worth discussing.
But also, that close friends may also be a witness to corroborate your story. I mean, this is not your case, but I have known of people who would go into restaurants and have a little fly or a cricket in a tube. And
it was worse than that. There was somebody we all read about in the newspaper a year or two ago that actually put a piece of a finger in their stew.
Now, we're not saying you did any of this, but some insurance company that's defending in this case may attempt to look around and figure out some way where they don't have to pay, because you know what the insurance business is like. They want your premiums, but they don't want to pay you for any damages. So I think you need a lawyer in this kind of a case.
Okay.
And unless you're getting addicted to fence post, you know, when you go into a restaurant, you know, it's very difficult. You know, whatever you order, and you bite down on it, and you got injured. So this is a good case you got.
All right, Rachel. Thanks for calling Legal Help Live. We appreciate the call, and we hope you're feeling better. We hope you get off the medication, back to work, and talk to a competent personal injury lawyer. You got all that down? Thanks for calling Legal Help Live.
You know, I guess the only time that eating fence posts would be acceptable is if you're a goat.
Or a termite.
Yeah. Well, you know, how many times you go to a restaurant, you order dinner, or you order fish, and they tell you it's filleted, and they get these, like, things in them. They're bones, they're spears, or... I mean, a lot of times I go in and there's things in the food.
The law differentiates, just so that everybody understands, the law differentiates between things that belong in food and things that just plain don't belong in food. If Rachel bit into a chicken leg and it shattered because it was a brittle chicken bone, well, that's something that may happen, and the bone belongs in the chicken leg, definitionally, and bones belong in fish. On the other hand, pieces of metal, bricks, fence posts, these things don't belong in food, and the law differentiates between the two. You may have a lawsuit if you bite into food, and there's something in the bite that does not belong there by nature, as opposed to something that does belong there in nature, and you're injured anyway.
Well, you know, I wanted this question too on food situations. Let's assume I'm a vegetarian and I go to a vegetarian restaurant, and lo and behold to me, they're using chicken stock and beef that tastes really good. Beef stock.
Fraud.
They're using all kinds of stuff, and it's not a true. Turns out not to be a true a vegetarian restaurant. Is that a good lawsuit? I remember
you may actually have a fraud suit if they're advertising themselves to be, or an unfair competition suit. Although it's really hard for a private person to file an unfair competition suit these days.
My entire being was based
damages?
upon being a vegetarian, and now I've eaten something other than veggies.
And now
I am now on another plane.
Life is meaningless to you henceforth and forevermore.
I can no longer pray to the carrots solely. I must, you know.
I could see. I see issues with damages, but you may actually have a cause of action.
But we did have this call 3 or 4 years ago, or 5 years ago. Someone called in and said that she worked in a vegetarian restaurant.
Remember that.
And they were now adding chicken.
They were having chicken sandwiches because they weren't making it just on vegetables.
And she wanted to know whether or not she could legally not work in that section of the restaurant.
Well, she was asking us if she had a discrimination claim. Not a good lawsuit. Not really a good lawsuit.
As I recollect, I referred her to somebody, and I don't want you to say it on the air, who would take any lawsuit.
Oh, that would be...
if it would get pressed, you know. 1-800-405-4222. Legal Help Live. You can also get to us by Gmail. It's the same word, legalhelplive@gmail.com. We're here to take your questions. We're live, we're local. We're here in Southern California. We're lawyers. We'll talk to you about almost any legal subject.